Hi, I'm Adam Brooks Weber. This is The Merry Mystic, and I'm glad you're here. In a former career, I used to be a professor of computer science. These are all my old computer science textbooks. Every now and then I still get the irresistible urge to do a PowerPoint presentation, so today's Merry Mystic is with the aid of PowerPoint. First slide, please. Today I'd like to tell you about what I think faith is all about. I'm going to start by telling you two popular answers to the question of what faith is all about. And then I'll give you my own answer, my third way. The first you know, I'm sure, because most of us grew up with this one. Faith is about believing properly in Jesus so you won't go to hell. That one has been around for many centuries. The second, it's also ancient, but it has experienced a modern surge in popularity. Let me tell you a little of its history. When it surged in popularity in America, in the early 1800s, it was called the New Thought movement. Here's one of the fathers of New Thought, a healer and mesmerist named Phineas P. Quimby, who lived from 1802 to 1866. Quimby taught that all sickness originates in the mind. He wrote, "Our mental states are carried forward into manifestation and become our experience in daily living. Therefore," Quimby taught, "the way to treat illness, it's not with doctors and medicine. It's by changing how you think." Quimby was a big influence on this woman, Mary Baker Eddy. She lived from 1821 to 1910, and she was the founder of Christian Science, a branch of Christianity which, at its peak in 1936, had 270,000 members. Mary Baker Eddy said, "Disease is an experience of a so-called mortal mind. It is fear made manifest on the body." She taught that sickness is an illusion that can be corrected by prayer alone. Here's a better-known person, practically an American icon. It's Norman Vincent Peale, who lived from 1898 to 1993. He was an American minister and author. His syndicated radio program, The Art of Living, ran for 54 years. He was the founder of Guideposts magazine and the author of a hugely popular book, The Power of Positive Thinking, which sold 5 million copies. He wrote, "When you expect the best, you release a magnetic force in your mind, which, by a law of attraction, tends to bring the best to you." Here's another New Thought figure, less well known today but very influential in his time. It's Napoleon Hill. He was an advisor to Presidents Woodrow Wilson and Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and he wrote an even more popular book entitled Think and Grow Rich. I think Think and Grow Rich is still one of the 10 best-selling business books of all time. He wrote, "The object is to want money, and to be so determined to have it that you convince yourself that you will have it. You may as well know right here that you can never have riches in great quantities unless you work yourself into a white heat of desire for money, and actually believe you will possess it." I'm sure that many viewers have seen this popular film and book, The Secret. Rhonda Byrne is the person behind them. The Secret discusses that law of attraction which we already heard about from Norman Vincent Peale. This is the idea that by focusing on positive or negative thoughts, a person brings positive or negative things and experiences into his or her life. She wrote, "Your thoughts become things. When you want to attract something into your life, make sure your actions don't contradict your desires. Act as if you are receiving it." The new thought shows up in many modern churches in the form of prosperity theology. In these churches, the message is that sickness and poverty are curses that can be broken by faith. If you believe hard enough that God will give you health and wealth, or anything else you want, God will. All you have to do is, as they say, name it and claim it. Believe it and receive it. Blab it and grab it. And, of course, give to the church, because that's an act of faith. It's like planting a seed, and you will harvest abundantly in the form of material blessings. There are, of course, lots of these guys on TV. Here, for example, is Mike Murdoch.
That if you'll use your faith as you sow the 1,000 on a credit card, as you use your faith, God's going to wipe out your credit card indebtedness.
So there, we have this major stream of thought in America. And I think it has become quite a powerful stream within Christianity in America. It's the second understanding of faith. Faith is about believing hard enough that God will give you what you ask for. I think these are the two most popular definitions of faith, and, of course, the two most popular pitches that churches make for why you should give them your time and money. Definition 1, faith is about believing the things and doing the things that will keep you out of hell. You should come to church because it's better than going to hell. It's a very useful pitch if you believe it, because it sets the bar for church pretty low. Doesn't matter how boring or expensive church is. What's an hour a week? What's a tithe or two compared with an eternity of suffering? Then there's definition 2. Faith is about believing hard enough and praying hard enough so that God will give you what you ask for. You should come to church because we can show you how to get whatever you want. That's a useful pitch too, if you believe it. Who wouldn't like to know the secret of getting whatever you want? And for those times when it doesn't work, we can always tell people that they just weren't praying with enough faith. Let's call these two faith ideas repelling hell and attracting prosperity. Well, as you can tell, I think they're both wrong. Not completely wrong, just mostly wrong. And oddly enough, they're both wrong for the same reason. They're both essentially selfish. The old repelling hell answer is all about you, your ultimate fate. It's all about what's going to happen to you after you die. It's all about the beliefs you have or the allegiance you have to swear in order to avoid an eternity of punishment for yourself. It's all about how to get your ticket punched for your express trip to heaven. It's all about you. And the newer, attracting prosperity answer, it's also all about you, of course. Not after death, but in the here and now. It's about your health, your wealth, your relationships, the things you own, the things you want to own, your soul and ultimate happiness. It's about how to get what you want. Both these ideas have bad consequences. They both teach really harmful things about God. The repelling hell answer teaches people to think of God as angry and vengeful, a guy in the sky with a serious anger management problem. And the attracting prosperity answer teaches people to think of God as a sort of miracle machine in the sky, poofing out goodies to anyone who knows the operating instructions. I could go on and on about the bad consequences, but to keep it short, let me move on and make a short pitch for a better way to understand faith, a third way. That third way is a way of doing good. It's a way of service. It's the teaching of Jesus. Jesus said, "Give to everyone who begs from you." Jesus said, "Let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven." Jesus said, "In everything do to others as you would have them do to you. For this is the law and the prophets." Jesus said, "Whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all." And Jesus said, I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me. This is the teaching of Jesus. Obviously, I just don't see how anyone could think that the way of Jesus is primarily about how to benefit yourself, either in the afterlife or in the here and now. Maybe it's partly about both of those things, but it's mostly, powerfully, overwhelmingly, no kiddingly, about service. It's a way of compassionate action, rooted in prayer. Now, I do think there's a little truth in both of those other ways. I do think that our adventure with God continues after death. I don't believe there's an eternity of torment, but I suspect there are still consequences. At the very least, you're going to live on, and so you're going to have to live with the knowledge of everything you've done in life. And I do believe in the power of positive thinking, in all kinds of purely rational, non-magical ways. Positive thinking and speaking can help you to become healthier, can make you more attractive to other people, can generally help you to be more successful in business and in life. So there is some truth in both of these ways. But neither of these two ways is at the heart of the way of Jesus, because they're both essentially selfish, and Jesus isn't. Jesus told us and showed us not to be selfish, but to serve others. When, somewhere in this weary world, children are starving, believing that God sends us to hell for letting it happen doesn't do them a bit of good. Believing that God will send them to hell on account of perhaps not being Christian when they die, that does even less good. And on the other hand, believing that those children could have food if they just prayed with more faith, if they just visualized food with more confidence, that does no good either. There's only one thing that will help those hungry children, and that's when we actually roll up our sleeves and help them. This third way, the way of Jesus, is a way of compassionate action rooted in prayer. I must admit, like the first two, it has a selfish payoff, because it does turn out that when you follow the way of Jesus, your life will become better in ways that you can only begin to imagine. And when more of us do it, the whole world will become better and closer to the harmony that God intends for us. But now that I've told you about the payoff, please forget about it, because the payoff isn't the point with this third way. If you're planning to help others because it will ultimately benefit yourself, you're missing the point. And to be honest, the payoff of the way of Jesus is pretty nebulous anyway. I mean, sure, following the way of Jesus makes life better, but it doesn't have guarantees. It doesn't guarantee that you'll become rich, that you'll avoid getting sick. And sure, it gives us reassurance in the face of death. But it doesn't really solve the mystery of what happens to us afterwards. So what do we get for following the way of Jesus? It's complicated. Doesn't make good slogans. It isn't predictable and quick and easy. If I could think of a way to write this in a book that would sell as many copies as Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, I would do it, but I just can't. But here it is. We follow the way of Jesus, serving others with compassion, even when it seems like no good deed goes unpunished, even when the payoff is unclear, because we trust that it's what God wants. Because because Jesus said so. And that is what faith is all about. Well, I hope you were all taking notes, because there's going to be a short quiz next period. Hey, if you're watching this video anywhere but on adambrooksweber.com, please go over there. You can leave a comment. You can sign up to receive the Merry Mystic every week. Tell me what faith means to you. In the meanwhile, let's make God smile this week. Bye now.